Welcome to the Pit Stop Ranch. The critical path to getting the truck completed is to get it in paint and then assemble it. Right now that means a lot of sanding, which doesn't make for a terribly enthralling video. However, there are secondary or parallel projects that need to be accomplished while moving towards that final goal of full assembly. For example, all the tertiary parts that are going to get bolted together need to be gone over, and any repairs made that need to be made. Right here are the two front inner fenders, sometimes called splash guards. And looking them both over, there's a few things that need fixing, a few things that are damaged. On the passenger side, this flange here is bent out, beat up, and parts of it have been cut and are missing. So that's a relatively easy fix. And on the driver's side, there's this big window here. Someone cut into it. Now, we suspect it is our informed opinion that this was put in to be able to put a power steering system in, which actually is a great idea. It's a great idea to put power steering in this truck. However, we're not going to do that. So, a few videos back, I posted a question to the audience about whether or not to leave this for some future power steering upgrade or to go ahead and fix it. Absolutely no one left a comment regarding that, at least as of the filming of this video. So I've decided to take a detour from sanding and go ahead and make that patch. Now, I figure it's a great project to share with the audience. I think it's a fun thing to do, and it's right up my personal alley as far as that goes. So my plan is I'm going to use what I refer to as the Cold War motor method. Now I say Cold War motor method because the place I learned about this was on Cold War Motors, watching Scott and Cold War Motors. However, I know he'll be the first and most vocal about saying he didn't invent it, he learned it from somebody else. But since I don't know who that somebody else is, I haven't really seen too many other people do it. So I'll go over what that is, and we'll make a patch and weld it in. Sound like a fun project? I hope so, 'cause that's the one we got. Okay, on this piece, it is not a simple rectangle. It looks, when head on like this, like a simple rectangle, or very close to a simple rectangle. But when you rotate it like this, you have these scallops in it. This one obviously ends somewhere here in this void. And then if you look at it from this angle, this comes up, and this, we have an arc here, go through the scallop before it comes down here. So this length here is longer, this length here is longer, this length here is a weird length. So none of the sides are the same length as the opposite side. So it's not rectangular at all. It's weird trapezoidal, non-square, weird thing. So, how do we figure out the shape of this thing? Well, fortunately, we have the passenger side, the opposite side, that we can go ahead and use as a mirror image. Now here's the passenger side. we want to create a piece in this area here. We don't have it perfectly measured out, but this is what we need to make. Okay, first step is to try and figure out roughly where that hole is similarly on this one. There. So we have a rough location where it was cut out on the other one. So that's roughly where it's cut out on the other one. So, if we take our masking tape and mask off just outside that area, making sure to incorporate all of the features. Something like that. Then we go ahead and fill it in. And you want those puckers because that actually gives you information. Because you see where these puckers are, that's where shrinking exists, or on the other way to think about this is stretched. This has been stretched, this has been shrunk in order to create this shape. And for further reinforcement, I am going to go ahead and go around all the edges one last time to reinforce the edge, because that's the critical area. And this is our pattern for the other side. And if we take it and invert it, this is exactly what we need for the driver's side. Furthermore, we have exactly the width of the blue tape as added material for when we transfer it to create, so we have too much material that we can then do a cut and butt over the old one and get a precise fit. Okay, here's our piece of 18 gauge sheet metal. Now Freezy, he's managed to track down like an old high school locker setup, and he keeps it in an old truck behind his shop, and whenever he needs a piece of 18 gauge steel, that's where he goes to get it. And gosh darn if I ain't jealous of that. Now one of the things I like to do is I always get these weird cutouts, and I like to line up like one edge as much as I can. I don't remember that happening, but it did. Like this edge here is straight and flat. This side is pretty there. We want to pull this, as many of the edges straight and tight as possible without the bunching. But then we have this one here that is, we got this big, it's all stretched out. Not as bad as here, but so what we want to do, let's go ahead and mark this out. Okay, now that we got our basic sheet cut, let's be very clear and mark this so we don't get confused. This is the tire side. And this is the engine bay. Okay. This fits something like this. Look at our piece. We look at our piece. You want to see where this piece, this is at the bottom, and this scallop here is at the top. So we want it clearly marked, thusly, so we don't get confused. Because nothing sucks more than putting a feature in and discovering that you put it in upside down, or inside out, or backwards, or, you know. So, now we have this. And it's a matter of transferring to it the features. So, the next critical decision, since we've got this laid out, is what features do we put in first? Now this here, this trough here is extremely straightforward. It doesn't, there's no shaking or stretching to make it. Okay. This here definitionally requires some stretching. In fact, if we go back to our original pattern, we see little shrink, a little bit of not much, no stretching there to speak of, but as it gets deeper in here, there's a lot of stretching in here. So a good starting point is to rough in this feature here. Once we've roughed this feature in, then we can go back and start, I think, shaping the rest of it, and then up here work on this end here, and then save this feature for the end. Okay, this here is a shaping bag, sand bag, bean bag, I don't know what you want to call it. A neighbor's cat that was living part-time in the yard and found a way through the window to get into here and would hang out in here, which I was cool with because it kept rodents down. Fortunately, it decided to cough up a hairball on it. We want to, according to our shape here, we want to concentrate basically in this area here and stretching. We got our teardrop mallet. Now if you look, this is all like, it's tight here, but it's all lofted out here or billowy. That means that this is stretched. And that means this needs to get some stretching, because this needs to curve this way and this needs to curve out. So this edge here needs to get stretched in this direction. Well, there you go. As you can see, there's a little bit. This corner here wants to lift off a little bit. But overall, it's a really nice fit. Now, I think what I'm going to do, this piece here has got like 2 inches of overlap this way it turned out. So I'm going to trim it up take about a 3/4 of an inch off, so that I got about a 1/4 inch all the way around of overlap, with the exception of the down here. Right there. And then tack it in place and do the old cut and butt. Okay, as you can see, we've got it all tacked in. The next step is the tedious process of playing connected tack. One of the challenges in this piece is we got a lot of areas that can get wavy. We're going to have to be careful about getting too much heat in it too fast. So that's going to be a tedious process. But I think that's looking pretty good. Well, there you go. We started with the passenger side. We went ahead and made our tape template. Used the pattern to cut out a sheet of steel. And then use this to create our shape that's now all welded in. And that is what I'm calling, I have dubbed, I have anointed. With all the authority that's vested in me, no authority at all, I dubbed that the Cold War method in honor of Scott and all the agents from whom I learned that trick. And also want to go ahead and shout out Freezy and Freezy Fabrication for, of course, the button cut. I don't know if he invented it, but he certainly spreads the gospel of it. Next step on this, there's some welding splatter on there to knock off, and then some tap to knock up some low areas, and then the usual fiber reinforced body filler, because it is waterproof and this is in a spot that's going to get sprayed, especially from behind. Clean both panels off very good, and then put a nice heavy coat of chassis black on both, and these will be ready then at this point to install. Hope you got something out of this project. I hope you learned something. It's a fun project. I really enjoyed it. I am really happy with the way it turned out. Anyways, if you like what we're doing here at the Pit Stop Ranch, you want to support us, please hit the like button. And if you haven't done so already, hit the like button. If you want to keep more up to date on the goings on here in a more timely manner, go ahead and check out our Instagram page at pit_stop_ranch on Instagram. And until next time, have a patch-tastic day.